We're here for our Spirit Talk podcast, Political Astrology, with our resident astrologer, Kathy Biehl.
I have arrived.
Tuesday, December 5th. I noticed yesterday, that the new moon falls next Tuesday and the full moon also falls on a Tuesday. So we're doing a week in advance of the new moon and a week in advance of the full moon.
Oh, it's an ever-changing thing. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So we're doing a pre, like rather than doing it on the day, we're getting people ready for it. You know what I mean? Because if we do it on the day, then people aren't prepared for the craziness. How's it going today?
I don't understand how I can be as productive as I am. That's how it's going.
You mean you're doing better than you thought?
I just am. I'm this scary dynamo. I have a. Saturn is squaring my Saturn, so I have no choice. There is no rest. Well, actually,
it seems like a good thing. It sounds like a good thing. I'm just going to turn you up a little bit, right? It sounds like a good thing.
It's unavoidable.
So, is it Saturn?
Yeah, Saturn is squaring my natal Saturn.
And that would make, let me guess, that would make you have to get things done that just have to get done.
I already have an internal combustion engine that just keeps going, and this just makes it like, no, must do this. Okay, now this.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Get her done. Last night I noticed that there was a lot. Well, actually, the last two PNN Psychic News Networks I've done, I've felt kind of like feisty and kind of over energized. And then last night I turned and I was like, oh, Venus is in Scorpio, and that's one of my placements. So so let's talk about the intensity and what's going on in the country. Welcome everybody. We have our regular cast of characters here. Welcome. Tell your friends. Tell them to join us. We just found out, well, I don't know, you probably heard too, that Tuberville has lifted his hold on the military promotions.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Well, we're looking for lots of Christmas miracles, that's for sure, in this country. It was funny because I started my PNN last night I was just raging about that. Ranting, not raging. And today we were going to look at Liz Cheney's chart. I requested that. I started listening to her book on Audible, just kind of like a page turner from an Audible perspective. And it's really good. I mean, I've gone over and over different books, listened to different books about the insurrection and all the traitorous activities of our representatives. Well, there's like 147 insurrectionists, election deniers in Congress now. It's very disconcerting. Yesterday was kind of a reality check in terms of what America's not looking at. Not all of America, but a lot of America. You disappeared. Where'd she go? Maybe she got a call. So she'll be back. I had that problem last night. So anyway, I was just to the audience here. I just want to express that it has been harrowing to think about that there are so many American people, not the majority, but so many that are against democracy. We'll see if we can get Kathy back. This happened before. All right. Don't leave. I have too many questions.
I have no explanation for what just happened. I did nothing. I was sitting here minding my own business, and the technology god said, it's going too well. Let's make it interesting.
I went through that last night. I go through that more often than I want to even say. But there's a lot of solar flares, and the northern lights are pretty intense right now too. I don't know if you've ever seen the Northern Lights. I haven't, but it's been so overcast here. You can tell it's dark out already.
Mhm.
Um, so it's been hard to see. But yeah, maybe someone saying it's spirit, Cheryl saying it's spirit. It's just been like I feel a lot of intensity in the air, and I've seen too. I mentioned last night that as soon as I had technological difficulties, I had to reboot my Wi-Fi and everything. I just kind of went on to MSNBC and Joy Reid. They were having technology problems at the same instant, so I was like, "This is not me. It's not you." So, if anyone's having trouble with that, I always say, "Don't take it personally. It's just technology." We tend to think, "Oh no, what did I do wrong?" Blame ourselves. It's just technology. So I was just talking before you bleeped out about that yesterday felt like in terms of the, sort of reviewing what's happening in this country and how there's an ongoing coup. And I feel but I want to say it's not as intense as it was after the 2020 election, but it's still there. It's like this ongoing underlying drone of they're planning another coup. So
Well,
maybe we can take a look at the chart for
this
America.
it might help people. Let's talk a little bit about Saturn.
Yeah,
Saturn, planet of order, planet of structure, planet of the government, planet of being the adult in the room. Saturn has been sitting at the very first degree of Pisces for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's now starting to move forward. And it's pressuring all kinds of people and situations that have placements in the very early degrees of mutable, which would be Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces.
yeah.
The US has Gemini on the Declaration of Independence, has Gemini on the cusp of the house that deals with partners, allies, and open enemies. And just before the door is Uranus at 7 degrees Gemini. Now, Uranus can be disruptive, Uranus can be innovative, Uranus can be rogue. So Saturn is closing
Mhm.
in on that, and the aspect will be exact in February. You can look at a lot of what's going on now through the lens of we only have so much time to get things in a certain place because we
Hmm.
feel the dogs starting to come after us.
I'm feeling it now.
But what I mean is these people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
so they're, I mean, yeah, they're doing it now, but there is a building unavoidable catch coming. And
Yeah.
this
So what?
affects a lot of people.
So you said something about the door. What do you mean?
It's on the cusp or the doorway to the part of the US chart that deals with allies, partners, and open enemies.
In February or coming up?
And
Hmm.
Saturn is moving into a square to Uranus, which is smack on that. It's like the gatekeeper of that door. Let me see exactly what degree it is. Hold on.
Yeah, that sounds. When you talk about Saturn and Uranus in the same sentence, I kind of go, "Yikes!"
Well, oddly, they're both the rulers of the sign of Aquarius. But
Yeah,
we have in the US chart, we have Uranus at 8 degrees Gemini. By mid February or so, Saturn is going to be completing its square. So between now and then, it's building pressure on all of the rogue elements.
yeah,
And this has been building very much so since well, since March, but now it's getting real, and it's like there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So at least so I would say that we're going to see real final Hail Mary acts and passes trying to pull something
yeah.
off to get as
Right.
much in as they possibly
That
can.
that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a sense of impending doom, but that doesn't mean we're gonna have doom. It's just like I feel like with Trump, for instance. he's just like he needs to win, and in his mind it's like at all costs and whatever it takes. And that's why the insurrection happened. It was like, well, if I couldn't do it in the courts and I couldn't do it this way or that way, I'm gonna with the fake electors. And it was just like he just rogue, exactly that word, rogue.
Yeah. Well, let me slip in something here that would respond to a question someone sent me in advance of this podcast. One of my own readers who's really, really concerned about the number of people in this country who are still buying what Trump
Yeah,
is saying.
yeah,
And I don't want us to look at what's going to happen at the election in November yet. It is way too early. There's too much
yeah,
going on right now. What I
yeah,
want to say for right now is reiterate and reframe something I have said before, and that is the last few years we've had real strong gaslighting influences, lies, and deceit, building that have locked directly into both Trump's chart, because he's like the mouthpiece of the big lie, but they've also locked into the United States Neptune. We have Neptune in Virgo in the ninth house of race relations, policy, belief systems. So that ninth house Neptune in Virgo is a marker for the fundamentalism, for the religious aspects of things, for basically racism and the occasional nationalistic streak, like let's keep our borders ours. So
yeah.
this gaslighting, fogging, lying, deceptive influence has been building, and it's now moved past its peak. So it's on the wane. And there may be still people who believe this stuff, but it's not the defining factor in our atmosphere anymore. It's not the defining factor in the psyche of the country anymore. And by the spring of 2025, it'll be ancient history.
So where you live, do you get fog?
Oh, yeah. So this is like fog.
This is like fog, right? We've been like there's times that it's so thick it's you can't even see to drive. It's like pea
Hmm.
soup fog, I call it.
Yep.
And then if it's a really foggy day, but then the sun kind of starts to come through, it starts to clear. So not quite clear, but getting so that at least you can see. And I
Yeah.
feel like while that's going on, I like that you call it the cosmic fog. I totally can
Hmm.
relate to that. And and so as it clears, I think like with Liz Cheney's book and Cassidy Hutchinson's book, the that to me feels like the fog is clearing because
Yes.
we're getting very clear, concise, relatable. We were there. These are facts. This is what happened. It's basically it's evidence, and we were all there to witness it. So there's more of a kind of a clearing of the fog in the American people's psyche, especially the normal people that are just normal, that don't fall into cults so easily, as it's clearing. And the insurrectionists that are in our government are aware that it's clearing. They amp it up. They amp up their lies and their rhetoric, and it's getting to the ridiculous zone now on so many fronts. It's like, I mean, the reason I asked you to look at Josh Hawley was because
Ah,
I just had YouTube on for a second, and they're in some kind of another hearing with the FBI with Christopher Wray, and I lose track of all these clown hearings. There's so many of them, and so I hear Josh Hawley. I don't even know what he's talking about. I need to look into it further, but I don't even know if it's worth my time.
oh,
About the FBI going after the Catholics.
okay. Well, I have a couple of things to say about Hawley's
I
chart that I
can't
think you're going to
stand him.
like.
Cannot
He's
stand to
got
listen to him.
major Saturn stuff coming for him between now and the end of the year, having to do with things he's done in the past. And this week in particular has a beautiful, effortless unveiling energy of showing something that's been there, almost like in plain sight. He
Yes.
has Uranus, which could be innovation, it could be genius, it could be insurrection, in the part of his chart that deals with Congress. So, first off, that tells me he's not there to be business as usual. Secondly,
No.
he probably isn't there for very long. That's not a stable marker. Did I just freeze?
Well, you disappeared, but I can still hear you.
You can still hear me. Okay, I'll keep talking because I can see. Uh, Neptune is stationing direct right now. Neptune is the fog machine. Neptune is the planet of deception, and it's going to be sitting in this beautiful direct flow to his Uranus for weeks into the middle of January. And possibly something that happened in April of 2022 is going to tie to whatever comes to light right now.
So
But
I asked you about him because I feel something coming for him that's imminent. And you said the end of the year. By the end of the year, you mean this year, right?
I do, but I mean, there is something that could be revealed right now between now and the middle of January.
Yeah.
And also between now and the end of the year, Saturn is sitting on his south node. Do you want me to go out and come back in, or are you okay with it going on
Yeah,
like
it's kind
this?
of weird. I feel like I'm talking to the wall.
Okay,
But
everybody,
it's
I'll be
talking
back.
back.
I don't know what this is. I'll be back.
All right. Okay. So I'm noticing in the chat because I can see the chat now. Even Kathy's left and she's coming back. We had problems last time too. Here she is. I think. All right, you're back.
I don't get it. I'm just sitting here. You see, no hands, no hands. It's
I
happening without me
know.
doing anything. At any rate, so bottom line is there are a couple of things happening right now with Hawley that are going to like require answering for stuff he did,
Yeah,
and reveal ways in which I mean ties directly to the insurrection, and it's
yeah.
right now.
We need a bell moment. Yay! Because when I was listening to him, he just when people lie, I get so mad. It's like, stop it. We know you're lying. It's so obvious. We can hear it in your tone. And he's got that like where you know what I mean when you hear him talking, he's kind of like it's like sounds like he's lowering his voice and trying to sound manly. And he wrote that book about being all manly, and I don't remember what it was called, but that's what it was about. Being having more testosterone and
Life is too short. I don't pay
yeah,
attention.
and he sounds like a total phony. I don't know what he was talking about going after Christopher Wray because he's claiming the FBI is going after the Catholics, and I'm like, what? I have you heard this?
No,
It's not worth it.
no, I have
All
not
right,
heard this. I've heard other things, but not that. Okay.
I'm glad he's gonna get his.
Oh, well, it's here. So just sit and watch. It's here.
Yeah.
And it's
All
one
right.
of those, the clues have been there all along.
Get your popcorn, everyone. Yeah, how about the fist in the
Oh,
air?
yeah.
January 6th. Yeah, big clue there. And then he's running down the hallway like for his
I
life.
was thinking of that. Hmm.
Karma, it's coming.
Can I say one thing about Liz Cheney since you brought her up?
Yeah, we do want to talk about Liz Cheney. I want to know I want to know what you see, and whatever you want to say about Liz Cheney's great. Is particularly what I'm interested in. Also, is Maga Mike and her. Like I don't,
Oh,
I
the
know
two of them.
you.
Oh, I can put their charts together in a second. What I see with her is this. Her role, her public role permanently changed last year. So I don't see her
Yeah,
going back into the House.
no,
I won't be surprised if she doesn't go back into politics. Now, many people in this country have a knee jerk reaction when someone does something they think is good or noble or laudable. They go, oh, is that person going to run for president? Like being president means you're the top.
I
I don't
know.
see.
People told me I should run for president. Have they told you?
Someone wanted to put me up for the mayor of Houston and something else. I'm like, no, I don't want to work with politicians. Anyway, she does have really good links to the United States chart, but that's not her purpose. And and it's going to change again this next spring. Whatever her role is, it's going to change again.
Well, you said that's. But you said, but that's not her purpose. Well, what do you mean?
Oh, being in the government,
Oh, okay, yeah. So she's
serving,
out of the government now.
she's changing what her role is and changing it again, and she could end up making an awful lot more money, whatever it is she does. Just
The book.
watch what's going on with her in April. I have no idea what it will be.
I think this book is going to just be on the bestseller list instantaneously. I know people were on the wait list. I was on the wait list and just came out at midnight. And
Well,
I think
and
that people want to fill in the gaps.
there is a big influence coming with Neptune having station direct of healing some way in which she has felt really off. So I don't know if she has felt some of the sins of the fathers on the daughter uh, in her life, but she's going to have a series of experiences that are going to make her feel an awful lot better about what her place is in this world. And she's building a new platform for who she's going to be. So by 2025, she'll be moving into something else. I don't know what. She's currently teaching at a law school, I think University of
Yeah, I think
Virginia.
she's teaching at a college, and I just you reminded me that when I pulled some cards on her recently, I was really struck by how much she had been hurt. Just like through like when did they expel her? Right after
Oh,
the
she
election.
wasn't. She was censured, I think, and then she wasn't reelected. Or anyway,
Yeah,
there's going to be a huge healing thing coming for her between now and next spring, and then a whole bunch of money, which ought to make her feel a lot better.
yeah. It just to me, it just showed up as like she just felt so hurt and just turned on. Like people she had trusted turned on her, and it felt really like when I pulled the card, it was like, wow, that just she really was hurt by that more than you would think because she has a persona like she's tough and nothing really moves her. But
Well, she is a Leo with Mercury very close to her sun, and they can that kind of Leo energy can be very regal and proud and
yeah,
not hide, but you don't like to be unappreciated with that.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So I think it cut deeper than people maybe realize.
mhm. So
You
you
know,
want to see
there's
what she's doing to Mike?
well, yeah, well, I did get to a little section in the book about what he was up to after the election, and he was kind of rallying all the Republicans to vote for denying the election and signing up to go on. It's like everybody get on one page here and let's all just promote the big lie. And he got them to sign something, I think.
Uh,
And
hmm.
she's calling him out in the book.
Well, let me start with a few things I see coming for him, and then I'll put her chart around his.
Yeah,
So
we
with
keep the
Saturn now
chart.
direct,
Mm-hmm.
Saturn is between now and mid January pressuring out all kinds of lies and like smoke screening involving what his policies really are and
Yeah.
foreign involvement.
I'm so
So
nervous about him. I really am
watch
nervous
for
about him.
more and more stuff
Yeah,
about other nations
right.
playing a big role. I mean, we know there is evidence, information that Russia funneled money through something that got into his campaign. I won't be surprised if it's more than that, but this is coming out more and more and more. And between now and the middle of January, and let's add to that in December, we have our final Mercury retrograde of the year, and it is
Oh,
going to be in the part of his solar chart that represents Congress. It starts in Capricorn, which is about really practical, tangible things. And then it's going to move back into Sagittarius, which is more about policy. and it's going to go back and forth over his Jupiter and Sagittarius toward the end of December. I think that will reveal more and more about good things coming to him from foreign sources.
That what he's been receiving will be
Mhm.
revealed. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's what I'm picking up, something behind the scenes. And that's the part that reminds me of after the election, before the insurrection, that scheming. I mean, when you do this kind of work, you get familiar with a certain type of a feeling, and it's like this type of a feeling that I'm having, that there was something really nefarious and dangerous going on behind the scenes. That is what I'm feeling that again, and it's connected to him. When he went
Right.
down to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, I was like, they're planning something, and they're in cahoots with a foreign enemy. What did you say about him and Russia, foreign money?
There's some evidence that's come out recently about Russia funneling money into some group that financed his campaign. I don't remember the name of it.
That financed Johnson's campaign?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. There's a connection there, and about, like, I don't know if you see it in this chart, but this not having a bank account is really grating my nerves, as it is other people, I'm sure. Should
Well,
be
there
all
is
of them.
some kind of secret deal involving that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's in his chart. There's a secret deal involving that, and there's a really explosive, empowering, catalyzing eclipse that'll be happening in April that will set off uh, legal problems for him.
In April,
That will
but
detonate. So the buildup could start 3 months before, but
yeah.
also that could detonate agreements that he has with people outside the country.
So do you think it might come in the form, from what you see, and of it being exposed?
They could come unraveled, or he could end up with big legal problems because of them. So I don't know if that means, he gets indicted, if it means he gets expelled from Congress, if it means he's booted from the speakership. I mean, that seemed to have been a tenuous thing. My money is on him being out as by the time Pluto goes back into Aquarius, which is January 20th, 21st.
All right. So you
But he
said,
could be gone before then. I mean, it's
I think it's before. I can check my pendulum. I think it's before then. Yeah, Mercury goes retrograde on, I think it's New Year's Eve, right?
no, on the 13th, and it goes direct on the 2nd.
Oh, look at that. I'm looking at my calendar. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and that's probably why I feel like December, isn't it?
He's
What?
got a beautiful link with Cheney. Oh, I love it. I
Oh,
love it.
good. Let's look at that. Anyway, Mercury goes retrograde. You said on the 13th, right?
The 13th.
Next week.
Yeah, but you were gonna douse on
Whether he's gonna go, and I feel like he's gonna go in December. I don't know what that could be. All right, him and Cheney.
okay. So his south node. The south node is your default behavior. It's what you go to when you're under stress. It's really what you should be evolving away from. Her sun is directly on his south node. So she illuminates what
Ah.
he's done. And her Mercury is right there too. So she's a mouthpiece for it. She's like,
Yeah,
uh, this is what it reminds me of. I was at a wonderful, wonderful festival on Saturday. You would have loved. It's called
probably.
Sinterklaas. It was in Rhinebeck. It was this children festival with beautiful puppets and people dancing in the streets for like 9 hours.
I should
And
have come.
when the parade starts, it's at dark. Sinterklaas, which is Dutch, Santa is at the front of the parade, and there's one person whose job is simply to follow Santa with a spotlight, so you can
Oh
actually
my
see
gosh.
Santa, and that's
So
what she's
that's
doing to
Liz.
him.
That's Liz Cheney.
That's
Is
her role
holding
in
the
his life.
spotlight.
She's the
Yes,
walking spotlight.
and that's why I haven't gotten totally into the book yet. I just started listening to it this morning, and I feel like that the book is going to be the start of that spotlight.
It would fit. That's the closest link she has in his chart, and it is very close.
Do you think it's karmic?
Oh yeah, it is karmic. This would be an agreement, or they, it could be that she was a parent of his in
Oh
another
yeah.
life. That is possible, and it's like,
Now there, little boy.
coming to get you. I mean, and
Yeah.
her moon, we don't know the degree of her moon because I don't have a birth time. Her moon is somewhere in the mid to 20s of Sagittarius, or it could be in late Sag. At any rate, her moon is at least conjunct by sign with his Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is what I'm seeing as the marker is, and Saturn in Pi. So there's a like a religious aspect to it, and who knows what else is in there. I mean, I have theories, but they're just judgmental theories.
Well, and it explains too what you're saying. Explains that I pulled a card last night, and I was struck by on him. He's really doesn't know which way to think. Should I go this way or that way? He's really in a tug of war in his mind, which kind of reminds me a little bit like that. I think that he's gay and has been in conversion therapy. It reminds me of that kind of energy. Like I want that, but I'm not supposed to have that, or I want to do Donald Trump's bidding, but I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for that. There's a lot of back and forth tug of war going on with him mentally, is what I pick up. So
That would
maybe
fit this. That would fit this.
yeah, that's what I really sense. And as far as Liz goes, do you see anything in her chart that says she's going to be stopped from telling more truth, or
Nope.
does it look like she's in the clear for
Yep.
the clearing fog?
Yep.
Nice. But you don't really think, from what you're seeing, that she would go back into politics?
Well, I don't see her going back into the House of Representatives. I'll say that for certain. There are other roles that there could be, but um,
Yeah.
for people who
Maybe.
go, "Oh, she's going to run for president," I don't think
I don't think
so.
so. I don't get that. And
And also, I'm not so sure she wants to be back in Congress. There are other ways she can exert her influence and power, and just to
yeah,
see where she goes with that.
maybe writing. Maybe she finds that she really enjoys writing. Maybe, part of her book, she was talking about her dad having a huge library of American history. I know everyone doesn't like Dick Cheney, but maybe she'll find her way as a writer and author.
Well,
I don't think senator. Somebody's asking senator. Just so you guys know, I can barely see the chat, but once in a while I see something.
mhm.
Um, yeah, yeah. So maybe like I do feel orator. I feel orator.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a lot of money as a speaker.
Yeah, I think that's what I see for her. Do you see some tumults? I think you already said that.
Oh, well, so between now, yes,
I just want to
the
hear
end
it
of
again.
December is when the retrograde Mercury goes back and forth over Jupiter and Sagittarius in his 11th house. To translate that, retrograde Mercury often brings up things that were misunderstood or unclear or
Yeah.
unfinished business, and having friends in high places, especially in other countries or in religious.
And he's supposed to be a Christian. I think lions, well, you're not supposed to do that. He's promoting hate and saying he's a Christian. Yeah, it's insanity. Um, so let's take a look.
Always, always and forever.
I'm wondering if you see just like on at a glance any similarities between MAGA Mike and Trump. Is there anything that's similar?
Um, well, Trump is a lot fierier and louder. He's much more of a communicator, and he's someone who draws a lot more attention to himself.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson carries more of the "I'm not really from this planet" vibe that Jared
Right.
Kushner has. The "Oh, I'm not
The
comfortable in
robot.
my human skin."
Yeah, the robot.
The robot, yeah.
I think DeSantis says that too.
Right, but for different reasons. The 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 two similarities that Trump and MAGA Mike have are they both have fire moons, different signs, but their emotional drivers are kind of high energy and feisty. And they both have Mars, which is the testosterone planet, planet of push, in a fire sign. Mike has it in its home sign of Mars, Aries, whereas
Yeah.
Trump has it, if you believe the chart time that he uses, on his pushing his ascendant forward. So,
So
you know,
Mars. So Trump has Mars in what?
he has Mars in Leo.
All right. Yeah, but MAGA Mike seems much more
He has Mars in
subdued.
Aries. Don't underestimate him.
Yeah, no, I don't underestimate him. I'm just talking about his presentation. He presents like not like fiery, like
No,
Trump is like a bull in a china shop.
right.
Mike puts out this persona of I'm Mr. Calm,
Hmm.
But there's so much going on in here when he's like acting all reserved, and it's like if somebody said to you in a really kind of congenial tone, I'm thinking about how many ways I'm going to destroy you. And just, saying these heinous things in a pleasant tone. That's Mike Johnson.
And he's got a bit of a streak of intellectual superiority. Like, I have
Yeah,
the answers. I'm
yeah,
in the know. You're not.
right. And that Josh Hawley was just doing the same thing when what I was watching earlier, and that just does it make you as crazy as it makes me? Just that they're lying and they're trying to make it like you're believing them, and you totally don't believe them at all, and you can't do anything about it. You're just listening to them going, I just want to, metaphorically speaking, I just want to smack you.
Well,
They stop it. We know.
the 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 solace I can offer from that, I will reach back into decades ago during the brief stint in my life when I actually did trial law. Bleh. And I learned that it was so much better that you could catch someone doing something weaselly and you could stand there and point and scream, or you could just kind of sit back and nudge the situation into a certain contour and just wait until your opponent shot himself in the foot. And it always was so much stronger and more effective when you let somebody do themselves in. And
Oh, yeah.
it's maddening what we're watching, but a lot of these people are in fact doing themselves in. It's like on a slow roll. I agree.
Yeah.
um, but look at what happened in special elections recently.
Right.
The ants are coming out. You can do what you want to us, but people who've been messed with and who are looking at what you're doing going, really?
Yeah.
Um, I delight in longtime Republicans in my acquaintance and social media feed who are furiously posting examples of utter hypocrisy by their former party. And I just watch it and go,
Oh,
welcome to
nice.
my side of the world.
So you worked in law and as a trial lawyer, right?
For a while, yeah. Hmm.
And so the thing is, you were able to kind of, move the situation in certain ways to make the defendant say what you wanted him to say or whatever, right?
Yeah,
You
you
had
just
some
kind of sit back
influence.
and let the other party decimate themselves. It's
Yeah, well, you
so
had a
much more.
little bit of influence, a little bit of nudge here, a little nudge there.
Hmm.
We can do that. I really feel like we can do that with our minds. So
Hmm.
rather than just be stuck with, I just want to smack you, we can just like with our minds say the truth is going to come out. And I see a lot of flailing. I see a lot of like, oh, do they? I do pick up like, oh, I wonder if they believe in me. A lot of that. Kevin McCarthy, every time he opened his mouth when he was more in the limelight, every time he opened his mouth, I just felt like he was thinking, I wonder if they believe in me. That kind of look they get, like, oh,
Oh
are you
yeah,
this? Trump is actually better at it because I think actually Trump believes his own lies because he's so
probably.
used to lying. But these others that they're know they're lying. They're just to your face. So if we can get them to kind of know, maybe more investigative journalism, or get them to know that we're onto them, then they get really nervous. So who else do we have today in front of us?
Well, I'll just remind people that Trump's in the forest of no return, astrologically and legally.
I love that way of putting it.
Okay. So for those of you out there who still freak and go, oh my God, he's a lot of noise. And yeah, he's got the power to mobilize some people, but really there's just it's learn this word, inexorable. All right. So Saturn is the cleanup batter and it's moving through his chart. And next year, we're starting to see some of it, but it'll be starting to be unavoidable by February.
We just have PTSD from January 6th.
We have persistent traumatic stress disorder. We have not moved to the post portion of it yet.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ongoing. But so really noticeable stuff starting in February of next year. And there's a case in January, the damages for the second E. Jean Carroll case. I mean, you can just go through the Trump trial calendar, and every time there's a new trial setting, there's some major astrological whammy hitting him. And there's an eclipse in
April.
March that is going to set off it's going to like blow up his glamour planet, the one that has been his myth maker, his illusionist. It's going to blow up his Neptune. And then things just start getting worse and worse and worse. The solar eclipse in April, both of these two eclipses just decimate his money houses. Okay.
Wait, there must be is there a lunar eclipse in March?
There's a lunar eclipse in March in the sign of Libra, and it's right on top of Trump's Neptune in his house of money and resources.
And so is that the glamour planet, Neptune?
Yeah, and it's also like there's nothing there. There's no there. This is money laundering. This is making deals that don't really have any substance. This is putting your name on something but not really have anything behind it. This is making fraud as business model. And something's coming to an end big in a huge way from that lunar eclipse in March. And then there's a solar eclipse, a big one in April that also affects his money houses. It happens in his house of joint resources, and it directly pulls in the planet that has shielded him, the Teflon source.
Jupiter, right?
It's Jupiter, right.
Yeah, wow.
And then Saturn just comes along and it starts going bam, 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 bam. And at the same time, Uranus, the wrecking ball, I've said this in almost every single time we've talked, moves across the doorway to his career house and public reputation at the same time that another way of measuring Pluto, so there's something called a converse solar arc. Don't ask me to explain what it is. Just know there is another point in his chart where the other change agent comes at the same spot from a different direction. You don't survive that. I mean, when I had Uranus cross my midheaven, every single aspect of my life changed, except for my car. My car stayed the same, but everything else changed.
When Uranus
crosses your midheaven.
Was in your midheaven? So that's happening in March?
And that's going to be late in the spring, right before summer. It's going to cross Trump's midheaven. And that's the target time for him starting to lose homes, building, property.
That's gonna just do him. And when his properties start getting sold off, like in New York, I don't know when that whole thing is supposed to wrap up with Judge Engeron.
There
There's
are,
a gag order, right? There's a gag
yeah,
order now.
there and in DC. But
Oh, that's
he's
correct.
already gotten around the New York gag order because now he's he's blasting the judge's wife.
Yeah, and
Those
then
of
with
you who are out there, if you ever find yourself in litigation, it is generally not a good idea to diss the people who have the power to rule against you. Kind of,
well, I think that Kathy, I think that's what makes people so nervous. It's like, well, wait, he's totally saying no. I'm not going to obey the law. Oh no, there's a law. No. It's like if there's a law, then he just gets like, well, now I have something that I can do. I can disobey the law, and I mean, it just feels like it's ammunition for him in a certain way. It's like,
that's
oh, gag order, oh, goody, goody, I get to oppose, violate the gag order, right? And
I'd
bring
say that's
journalists.
probably why nobody's going for jail time for him, because then he gets to be a martyr, and then that's unstoppable. But for those of you who are out there freaking about this, just know that in the next 6 to 7 months, there are a sequence of astrological, like they're levers that
Oh,
are falling, falling,
yeah,
falling, 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 and he can't go backward.
right. And it's funny because it reminds me about like when he first said he was going to run for president again. And people, of course, are always asking, like, what's going to happen. And I said, I don't see how he's going to be able to campaign because he's going to have all these court dates. It's like, how do you get on the campaign trail and then do campaigning when you have, and that was before there were all these dates set, and that was long before we
Well,
knew what was
consider the
coming.
possibility that, yeah, he would like to be president again for the purpose of getting his behind out of all this legal trouble. But really, the bigger reason here is that he can claim he's a candidate and try to get out of stuff. It's another delay tactic. I don't
Well,
see
yeah,
it getting anywhere. I don't
there's been
see it getting
yeah,
anywhere.
there's been a lot of talk recently over the past day about the threat that he poses, because if and that's got us freaked out too, is like if he gets any further, he's running for president in order to fight back. This is what's in his mind, and we probably all know this, but psychically I really pick it up so strongly. Is in his mind, he's running for president so he can do the job of overthrowing democracy. That it's that clearly in his head. So it wouldn't be a. I don't even think he's going to be on the ballot. We can maybe take a peek at that, or maybe you already kind of are.
I have I will be very surprised if he is, because the vibe I get from that, and I may have mentioned this before,
Yeah,
there have been times when someone's been on the ballot and like they died in a plane crash the week before the election, so their name is on the ballot, but
right.
it's moot. It's that kind of feeling. I am not saying Trump's going to die in a plane crash.
No, but we did talk about that, and I went so far as to say, I don't know. I wonder if he's even going to be even around after the spring. If you know what I mean?
Well, his mind is certainly going to another place. And I
That
feel compelled. For those of you out there who are hyperventilating, I have my anxiety doll. It's my anxiety fairy. So please just project all of your anxiety onto the fairy. She can
yeah,
take it. She's here
yeah.
for that purpose. Okay.
And tell us again where to get that.
Oh, I have to put it in the.
You told me before it
It's
was
an
better.
Etsy artist who's also, let's call her a magic worker. Um,
You can put it in. I can put it in the
I will,
down
yeah.
in the description after you let us know. Yeah, Etsy's great. I love Etsy. Support
Oh,
art.
Snot Normal, SNOT Normal.
I love that's easy
That's
to
her
remember.
Etsy shop. Snot
It's not
Normal.
normal. I think it's good to have a stuffed something to. Do you bang it up against?
No, you can just hold. Now, I had my Christmas familiar, but it's an inflatable, and I thought it was making too much noise, so I took it down. I have a monkey elf
And do you? What
that
do
I
you
had
do?
up here for our talk, but it has, you can hear the air constantly blowing. I thought it would make too much noise, so I
What
moved
does
it.
he do?
He
Your
just
monkey
stands
elf.
there and he looks like he's just an elf. It's a monkey.
Oh, and he makes noise.
Well, because he's an inflatable, so you hear the air.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And he's about this tall, you know.
They do make noise. That's true.
I thought Betty Bunny might like a companion, but
Yeah, well,
anyway,
and I have the elf too, and he's kind of moving around, so everybody behave.
as they should.
The elf on the shelf. So Trump has been freaking people out because, well, I do feel like I posted a picture of Mussolini today too. I do that every so often because it's like you can't even believe that he looks exactly like Mussolini. I think we all have had past lifetimes. I feel like I can say that I know this, and we have been, you know, like in the scenario where there you are in your little kingdom in your village or whatever, and you totally get pillaged and raided by the enemy. And when January 6th happened, we felt like they were storming the castle, they were storming the Capitol. We have past life impressions, and it's very scary. I mean, some of us were in the Holocaust, right? I mean, and so a character like that comes along, and we see what's going on in the Middle East, and we see what's going on in Ukraine. We see what these heinous terrorists are doing, and to just have that be like, wow, we see evidence that human beings can be that demonic, for lack of a better word. I mean, it is the demonic. And so I think it's very scary, but I do believe in the power of us all coming together and, visualizing and knowing that something better can be created with us as a collective energy. I don't think we're going to go down the road to World War III. I don't.
I don't either. I do not either.
But we do get frightened. We just have to reel ourselves in, and
we have to get an anxiety fairy.
It does help. So, do you happen to have Joe Biden's chart handy just to see what's going on?
I do indeed.
Like currently.
Biden's about to have a really nice stretch this month with Venus being in Scorpio because he's got 4 placements in Scorpio: his Mars, his Mercury, his Sun, and his Venus. So that looks really nice. Saturn sitting at the very beginning of Pisces was actually watering his moon. That's an odd way of putting it, but he's had things happening in the background that we haven't seen. He's very much a behind the scenes person, and his power is behind the scenes. And I honestly think he doesn't give a flying what.
I know
what the outer appearance is, as long as he is effective in his own way. So I think he's had things happening that have actually involving his family and his children that have been good and powerful and fueling for him. He does have some, as Saturn moves forward in Pisces, it's going to change a lot of his alliances. It's going to pressure letting go of some things or some people, or being much more of an advocate for something different with allies and with open enemies. So I don't know what this means in terms of diplomacy and what it does with some people who've been in his life in a really long-standing way. And mid-February to late March could also be somewhat, there could be kind of like a head-to-head with him and some other leader, which could, it could be a foreign leader, it could be a leader of Congress. But I don't see big problems for him. And there are all these people who will say, make all these dire statements. He's got really good stuff coming health-wise, believe it or not.
Oh, good. Well, of course we believe it. He takes good care of himself.
Into May, and then maybe there's something kind of surprising that happens in May, but it's not. Then it gets stabilized, whatever that might be. So people who are making a bunch of noise about him and his talk and whatever, there could be some incidents of words going different ways. But let me point out
He's always
that
been like that.
he's a Sagittarius rising, and no
Yeah.
offense, sad one feature of this can be foot and mouth disease, like saying something and then it wasn't really quite
Totally
right.
was no totally when all the time he's been in Congress, he totally was known for that. When he's vice president, we're like, like what's the other? Dan Quayle was kind of like that. Remember? And Biden was like, oh, Biden gaff, right? And I think he's
Hmm.
gaffed a lot less as he's been president. I was wondering, what you see, if you see anything around, like you're mentioning all the Scorpio energy, and when I see that they're Mike Johnson is all rallying all his supporters to impeach Biden. And I just keep thinking about all this scorpionic energy that Biden has. And you mentioned Hunter Biden has Mars and Aries, right? And so all this ridiculousness that's going on with Jim Comer and Jim Jordan and the whole clown of bozos, the whole cast of clowns. Um, do you think, I don't know what you can see about this, but or if we've ever even looked at James Comer, we maybe next time we can.
Okay, I don't think I have his chart.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where this impeach Biden is going to go. Well, Mike Johnson is heading it up, and I think that I was just reflecting on Biden having all that Scorpio. I mean, Mars and Scorpio against people making stuff up and grasping at straws to figure out how to impeach Biden because they think they're in Russia. They're Putin Republicans. So
I would always bet on the Scorpio in a cage match.
that's what I'm thinking.
Always.
Yeah. And Hunter, it looks like, I think I did read on it. You know how they wanted to have a private behind closed doors hearing with Hunter?
And he called their bluff and said he would do it in public, and they refuse.
And then I got that eventually it would just be dropped because
Yeah,
they
well,
don't
if it's in
have it.
public, they can't control the narrative. They can't
Yeah. Did you
make
hear
those.
anything about what happened after that?
No.
Just kind of hanging out there, like we'll see.
So then I think it turned into, okay, we'll go impeach your dad because because
Oh,
he sold you a truck. Oh dear.
I know. It was like $1,370 or something like that. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh, impeach the president. He loaned his son some money for a truck. What? That's why I'm saying it. They think they're in Russia, where they can just make stuff up and throw people in jail for just making stuff up. And that's scary too. But we have the power. We'll be fighting back.
There are a couple ways of looking at this. One of them is they're wasting our money. I mean, this is Benghazi, Benghazi,
Oh my
Benghazi again.
God, it's
But
so aggravating.
they're not they're not getting anywhere in further restricting our rights.
That's true.
That's kind of a bizarre way of looking at it, but
Yeah, it's insane. It's really just insane. Do you think
yeah.
America's going to rise up more?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And for a bunch of reasons. One of them is when Pluto moves into Aquarius, that's much more of a taking it to the streets or grassroots organizing and people banding together in collectives to just make things happen.
Yeah.
There's that, and also by 2025, when we get through with the current Aries Libra eclipses, which are rewriting all kinds of relationship agreements, there's another big astrological event that will happen as they are wrapping up in early 2025, and the fog will be completely burned off, and people are going to be galvanized.
Good. I feel that coming. I really do. I feel like I think, and this happened in the 2020 election too. It was like America just had enough. It was like, we're done with this guy. He couldn't even handle a pandemic. So most people, I think 3/4 of the country, I really do, are going to make the difference and keep our democracy.
Just take faith in the fact that Saturn in Pisces is affecting all kinds of entities as well as people, and the GOP chart is one of those entities. And what they've done to women and to poor people and to underprivileged people and to transgenders, you name it, anyone that's different, there will be consequences.
Yeah, but they're
Very,
Christians. They're Christians. I'm just
Mhm.
reminding you, they're Christians.
Right, I know. Yeah, sorry. Silly me.
No, it's okay. It's understandable. You thought that Christians were, that being like Christ was meant to be nice. It's insanity. What do you have for us in terms of this new moon? Maybe we can wrap up with the new moon is in Sag, obviously.
Well, it's in a strong aspect to Neptune, which you can look at in a number of ways. So what I suggest is let your imagination go. Look at this new moon as really, really fueling your imagination.
Oh, I love that. What makes that?
The moon is squaring Neptune, which
Oh, okay.
it could be. So since it's launching a phase, honestly, look at it as uh, bringing something that is otherworldly down into what new adventure you want to have. And
Oh,
I just see it as a beautiful formula for enhancing your imagination.
excellent. I want to say about that. Thank you for sharing that. That's this new moon coming up on the 12th, next Tuesday, and also I'm going to segue into just letting everyone know what we're offering. But since you mentioned that, my title for my subject line for my December 17th winter solstice event is, in order to have a magical holiday season, you have to create the magic. So we're doing that on December 17th. So everybody,
Perfect.
psychicannettedion.com. We're going to make the magic. I'm going to be playing live music. We're going to do ritual. We're going to do Yule log. We're going to write intentions for the new year, light candles at dusk. And I mean, it's going to be, you can make wassail. You can invite people over to have a party and have them be on Zoom with us, and definitely check it out. I'm really excited about it. We did it the past 2 years. So psychicannettedion.com, and also that's where you book a reading. My schedule is wide open. I'm begging people to support my channel by supporting. It's a win-win, people. So psychicannettedion.com, and join us at grassrootsofdemocracy.com too. What you got for your promo?
Okay, bunch of things. I'm going to be doing a 2024 overview with Donna Woodwell, who's a fellow astrologer, early in January, and she'll be my guest on the December 18 episode of Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio, which is at 5 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have the date and the sign up link by then. But this is an annual two people who talk too much telling you with high Jupiter influences in their chart, telling you what will be going on in the next year. And you'll get a workbook. Yes, because Donna's a Virgo.
Cool. If
Yeah.
if I put all your contact info in the description, they can go to a link?
There will be a link. It does not exist at the moment, but
Oh, okay.
all of this stuff will be at my site, empowermentunlimited.net. I have a weekly podcast. I have a forecast for every new and full moon. I have a forecast for every month. And at the top of the site right now, there's a link to my new book.
Oh, right. So,
which came out last week. This is the hardbound. It is beautiful. Confessions of a Third-Rate Goddess, Traipsing Through a World Gone Weird, the most correctly subtitled book in all of history. And it includes an inside look at working as a soothsayer at the biggest Renaissance festival in the country and managing a book tour event for a major spiritual teacher. That was an insane experience.
Where's the biggest Renaissance event in the country?
The biggest Renaissance festival in the country is the Texas Renaissance Festival.
When is that?
It's it's over now. It's like 2.5 months long.
Wow.
In the fall, but it's physically also gigantic. In addition to being really, really long. So if you'd like, anyway, these are all just wacky stories. It's my answer to Sex and the City, what life was really like as a single person in the 90s.
Well, that'll sell it. Sex in the 90s.
Well, it's like a lot of not sex in the 90s. Sexual ambiguity, tension, you name it. Anyway.
But that it sells. So empowermentunlimited.net is
Net.
like your home station.
That's my home station. Yeah, and my YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, but not everything is there. That one just tends to be pretty much astrology. Also, there is a virtual book launch party next week. It's at the end of Psychic News Network. It's at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern. And if anyone is like really hot and heavy and wants to come, wants an invite, you should message me.
On Wednesday the 13th?
Mhm.
After okay, well I'm trying to reduce my PNNs to 1 hour, so yeah, we could probably
It's right when
on.
you're done. And the host is a documentarian and an author whose most recent book was about the plague, which I thought was actually kind of appropriate.
Oh wow. Yeah,
For
definitely
being
remind
my
us.
host.
We won't do a show till after that, so definitely remind us. Put it in the chat at Psychic News Network. You know, just because we want to come. I do.
Yeah, you do. You want to be there.
All right. I think that's everything. I apologize. People are putting all kinds of stuff in the chat, but it was really hard for me to see it and listen and focus. So always talk amongst yourselves in the chat. And thank you so much. And we'll reconvene on the 19th. It looks like, to talk about the full moon in Gemini. Right. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your day. See you at the 20 on Tuesdays guided meditation for a healed America. Go to grassrootsofdemocracy.com if you want to join us. Go ahead.
We'll be talking about it's Cancer Capricorn by then. So Gemini's already happened. Don't worry. We'll just be blithering. Don't worry. Next full moon.
Okay. There's too much. We can't just keep talking.
It'll be solstice time.
Yes, solstice time. Yeah, so happy solstice. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. All right. Looking forward to it. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.